welcome everybody to this week's Industrial Committee provided by eXp Commercial and yours truly. It's Frankie Valley, Pam Jungi, and Jabin Starnes. Pam and I are with the Jungi Group with eXp Commercial in Las Vegas. We are primarily industrial and commercial, and we do dabble in a couple other things. We mentor and train some agents within tenant representation, industrial, as well as she runs a residential team. But we've been loving doing this for the last few weeks, providing some updated stats, answering any questions, helping you guys with your upcoming deals, and helping you with listings and any other collaboration that we can do to support in the industrial asset class. So this week's we are planning on just going overall, looking at stats in general areas and markets, and whatever markets you guys are typically in, or if you guys wanted to look at any specific stats, that's what this week's all about. And Pam Jungi and Jabin, do you guys want to say anything before I pull up CoStar?
It's a good time to stay on top of it. Things are changing, so I think this is a very useful thing that we do, is to just refresh on stats and see what's going on in markets, because it's changing, and that's a very important part of what we do. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, and maybe I'm partial to the industrial real estate. However, I think it's absolutely fascinating, right? Like industrial real estate, it's not your dirty old warehouse anymore. Through COVID and through cultural pressures, industrial real estate is blossoming and growing across the country. For the fourth month in a row, the United States has surpassed, or excuse me, Mexico has surpassed China in manufacturing. And guys, that is just a huge deal, So we've got manufacturing going on in Mexico, which means that all has to get shipped through logistics and the United States. So like Jabin said, there's no better time than to understand exactly what's going on in this asset class.
Absolutely. And I will preface with, just so you guys know, so we do use CoStar, and that is, take it with a grain of salt. Some people love it, some people hate it. They are just comps, right? They're not going to be 100% perfect. There's multiple sources that you can get to run comps. Ultimately, you still are going to get very specific to that property, that market, that submarket, as down as you can get, to more like kind properties. But it's a good starting point. It's a good place to start to begin to educate your clients and get them a good idea of what the market's going to look like. And also, if everybody could just make sure, I think we all are muted, but if you guys have any questions, just please feel free to jump on in. And you can also text in the chat, and I will begin screen sharing, and we'll take a look at some different industrial markets. I'll start with what's in the chat now. If anybody wants to look at their market, please let us know. So we'll start in Vegas, since good old Pamela was the first comment. So as you can see, CoStar filters out through all different major markets. You can also do submarkets and even countries. They used to have it statewide. You can also do it between the main food groups: office, industrial, retail, multifamily, student, and hospitality. So industrial has one major market here, is obviously Las Vegas. We can break it down into I believe it's 11 different submarkets. 11 different submarkets here in Vegas, between North Las Vegas, South Las Vegas, Southeast, Airport, Speedway, Central, West, outlying Northeast, South Clark County, Northwest Vegas, and then that's actually San Bernardino. Another thing with CoStar to keep in mind, it's not an industry standard by any means. So in every single state and submarket, it's going to be a little different for, so see, you can hear in Vegas, we have industrial submarkets. We have 11 different submarkets for industrial. Even if you just go to office, the submarkets change. You see how the jurisdictions vary just a little bit. So you just want to keep that in mind and just be conscious of which areas you're actually looking at. Of course, if you put in the address of a subject property, that will make it a lot easier. But we can just go to the overall market of Las Vegas. Let's check it out. You can also, get summaries, the whole market reports, rental reports. We're happy to help and provide you guys those also if you need anything. So you can just take a look at, there's a summary, there's all of the market stats reports. So we got just over $1 per square foot rent per month. We got 1381 on the year, which is up 1.34% from last year. We got 2.9% vacancy rate, 5 million square feet of vacant square feet, 8.7% available, 15 million square feet of that is directly available. 981,000 of that is available for sublet. And that's total 16.3. And that's an average of 3.61 on market. And just looking at that snapshot for the overall Las Vegas market, you can just tell, Pam, if you want to jump in, just because it's Vegas, it's so different per submarket. That's a very overgeneralization, but it is a good rough average throughout the entire market. But like what I can tell you, South Henderson, it's like 1.9%, even less.
Right. Definitely different markets are more favorable, especially because, when you talk about industrial real estate, there's so much that goes into what makes it successful, right? So area and location is critical in the Las Vegas Valley because, for instance, if you're on the southern side of the valley, which is really hot right now, the West Henderson market, you're going to have better turnaround times for the truckers driving back and forth from California, right? So it makes it more palatable. It saves companies time, money, labor, cost, gas, everything, because now they don't have to drive all the way through the city, right? So that area is on fire. But then we also have Apex, which is all the way on the north end of town, which is exploding hundreds of millions of square feet coming online, very tech heavy. And that is a direct route to Reno, Utah, other logistic areas in the country. So we find smaller pockets of older warehouse inside the city that are more urban, but that's kind of like to take care of our casinos, our major corridor on the strip, right? Those are just more in-town logistical type style warehouses, Frankie, unless you have some other way of explaining it. And then you have your big box on the outskirts of the city. So it's really like understanding highest and best use of each piece of real estate as well.
Most definitely. Yeah. So many different factors that goes into the pricing, but I do like that CoStar provides this, and you definitely got to get more in detail when you list a property, but for general conversation with clients, it's good enough information. So even looking at the inventory, we're overall up throughout the oversupply, if you will, from COVID. We've got a lot of projects still underway, being proposed. A lot of it has been shifting. A market trend is not so much of stopped projects, but they're just opening up to owner users for the ability to purchase these new build industrials, which is a newer concept on the larger scale and on the smaller scale. We have a project right now with 2,000 to 3,500 square foot units, which is very small. But the price per square foot obviously goes with that. And opening up to owner users is just a whole other buyer's pool that wasn't available to purchase. Previously, we got the 12-month sales transactions were actually down at a 282 per square foot. Last year, oh my gosh, it's a 375. There must be some sort of outliers in there that's skewing that number. Typically, we were at like the 250, 260. I'll have to look at that. That's crazy. Or excuse me, sorry, that's the number of transactions. I was so confused. I thought that was price per square foot. That's the number of transactions. Okay, there we go, 216. That's more closer to it on an average throughout the whole valley. And that also includes the outlying areas, so keep that in mind when you do the overall comps and averages. Might want to take those out because they are a lot smaller in the price per square foot. Average market sale price 8.4 million. 12 months sales volume is 2 billion, and the market cap is 5.3. So in Vegas, with the lower cost of living, you also do get that lowered cap rate. Our numbers of a little on the lower end, 5 to 6, even in the height. At the highest, we've been like a 7 to 8% return on average. So, and then obviously CoStar will provide you as much analytical information as you want. You can get into all sorts of change graphs. They have pie charts, anything and everything you could need depending on the type of client. So you can give them all this information. You can compare it between the different sub asset types, specialized, logistics, flex. All of the different stats are available in chart format. Let me get you guys over there.
And then we could talk about this later when we're deal sharing, but it's interesting. Like you get that number of the average price per square foot, right? But when you're comping a product like this, just like any other product, you have to go really deep and looking like for like, right? So in fact, we'll talk about this later when we talk about deal sharing, but Frankie and I are selling a product right now, and we're going to be pricing it at $340 a square foot. We got people lined up for it, right? So what's going to justify it? How far can you push the market? How do you go deep when you're doing a opinion of value on this type of asset product? It's just like any other product. You've got to look at it 4 different ways, and you got to understand what the market will tolerate.
When you're doing that, hey, this is Brian LaGrange. When you're doing that, how do you reconcile the financial vehicles that are available in regards with that?
If I think I understand your question, are you asking if there's income on the property?
No. So you say, hey, push the market and make sure that it's that you're pushing the boundaries on the market, right? So when you're doing that, how do you find buyers who are qualified in order to, like, as you push the market, right, the funnel of buyers, the pool of buyers shrinks. Uh, it goes inversely. So as you're pushing the market, there's going to be less buyers who are able to purchase that property or that asset class that you're talking about.
So with that, the interesting thing is, right, I'm not sure if you heard the part where I said the trend of industrial projects, they're turning toward opening it up to the owner user buyers. So you're correct with, in that point, but with that, being able to open it up to the owner user buyer is opening up that pool drastically, because that demand has been so pent up and is just lying in wait, especially in the hyper local of Vegas, because we've sold similar properties like this. There's only one or two actual developments that are meant like this. Everything else is a one-off as far as like flex or live workspaces. So with that, we have this specific type of buyer that's been looking for a product, and we're finally being able to deliver it. So that's why we can push the market price a little bit.
Got it. Yeah. So you really fine-tuned your client profile. Okay, that makes sense.
100%. And just to make that conversation, just to even drive that home a little bit, the product that we're delivering is smaller, more consumable. And then not only that, because we're in Las Vegas is its own economic hub. There's some driving factors of the location of this project that make it incredibly special. Like just because it's next to the Henderson Executive Airport, which is one of our private airports in Las Vegas, which is also located directly next to the Raiders practice facility, the Golden Knights practice facility. This airport is going to caters to the uber wealthy flying in and out of town. Because we have F1 coming on and the Super Bowl coming on, that airport actually just laid 18 acres of extra runway to support the uber wealthy that are going to be flying in and out of Las Vegas, and we're right next to it. So we've just hit a whole different pool of purchasers who are looking for a spot exactly like this, and we brought it to the market, so therefore we can push the price per square foot.
Yep. And it is gated and it has the clubhouse, which isn't and within any other development in Vegas. So it's very unique.
We cater into the fancy.
Yeah, pretty much. And then here's just a quick snapshot of all of the different statistics side by side, quarter by quarter, just if, to have and to compare throughout the different markets and trends. So that's always good. But yeah, then like Pam said, when you're actually looking at listing a property, you of course want to get very, very specific and look at those like for like comps as much as possible. I thought there was a quick button to do on here, but we can do that, or should we just go to the different markets and look at the numbers? Who wants to see their market stats? Let's see. Let's do good old Pittsburgh.
I want to know what's going on in the Berg.
Me too.
Me too. All right, let's do it. So firstly, this is the city of Pittsburgh, provided by CoStar. It's linked to the Clark or the government entities, but sometimes you got to make sure it's, so there's the city, there's the CoStar jurisdiction, there's East Pittsburgh. So we're going to make sure we're in this one. Let's look at the different submarkets. So you got, looks like, move that, 7 different submarkets: Southwest, Parkway West, North, Parkway East, Greater Downtown, and Oakland. And we can just look at the market as a whole. And if you want any individual market stats, feel free to reach out or let me know. Or let's take a look. Inventory's up 222 million. 3.1 is under construction. 1.7 million of net absorption in the last 12 months. Vacancy is up 5.2%. Market rent is down $8.32 per square foot on the year. Annual rent growth is down 0.7%. Market sales price.
So can I jump in and ask a question just out of curiosity? Because it's important to understand the numbers, right? And I'm not in the Pittsburgh market. But if we've got 3.1 million under construction, our last 12 months net absorption was 1.7 million. Does that give us any indication, especially from you being in the market in Pittsburgh, where you think the industrial market is going? In other words, are we getting oversaturated over there, or is Pittsburgh bringing in enough business and industry to handle this?
It's difficult for me to answer. Just so you know, most of my experience in commercial real estate is in retail. Kind of expanding out and looking at other opportunities within the market. And actually, I've been a developer for self-storage as well. So my plan is, I just joined eXp about a month ago now. And
well, welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm kind of just looking and grabbing information. Although the industrial marketplace has been always interesting to me, and I think that with what's going on with, all the how retail's moving online, I think warehouse space is going to be an opportunity everywhere. That's why I'm kind of curious how you're taking the metrics out of this. And by the way, a quick question for this CoStar: is this something you have through eXp, or you just do on your own, or?
It's on your own. Each eXp like state or each group has their own little agreement, and you can get you can get a discount, but it's not too much different than the CoStar discount that they have now. It's $450, give or take, depending on where you're at for global access.
$450 per month.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. But to answer your question, Pam, definitely looking at the past market statistics, you can kind of get an idea. Well, of course, being in the market is your best bet, but kind of get an idea of where the trends are going. The construction has been lower and lower, so it seems like they're definitely catching up to the excess construction. Might be a similar situation where here is they're just opening up the buyer pool to owner users, or they could be having to shut those projects down and take that loss or hold on to the land, or of course it'll be a case by case basis per project. But as a whole, it's a great question. But let's take a look at the different submarkets and compare. So you can compare all the different submarkets to each other and general markets. You can do asset value, vacancy, market rent per square foot. Let's start there. So you can see all of the different average prices per market. I like something like this for like a brand new buyer or a brand new client entering a market, have no idea what they're doing or where they're going, and then screenshot this and send them. Let me move this Zoom thing.
What's interesting is I own a building in Monroeville, and
oh, there you go.
Good for you.
Makes me want to screenshot it.
Yeah. And then you can kind of give them an idea of the general price points. Of course, it's a lot of different factors and it's going to vary, but you can have a decent starting point from all the way $5.73 and Fayette County or top of the market in Monroe. Oh, that's where you said you owned it. Perfect. Beautiful.
Top of the
$10
list.
per foot. So
So super interesting. I was born in Beaver County, lived there till I was 11 years old. My folks moved us out to Vegas. And like Beaver County is interesting, right? Like Beaver County, you've got the railroad, had the steel mill, J&L steel mill. So like back in the day, like that's where my grandfather and all my uncles worked but that was like old industrial, right? Like during the Industrial Revolution, my great grandmother worked at a window factory that is still there in Beaver County. It's literally falling apart. But there was, because of the railroad and how it was situated right there in Beaver County, it called for a lot of industrial. I just don't see that as like a new hot upcoming area, right? Like obviously, is there anything special about Monroeville that that would garner why we're getting $10.14 a square on average?
The retail market of Monroeville is really strong, but just a quick note on that Beaver County. I think it's Sunoco or BP, one of the big oil companies, built what they call a cracker plant.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's
My cousins all worked there and built it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, that's going to make Beaver County and the outlying as it develops, because there's going to be all kinds of manufacturing. I think what that does is it actually makes plastic pellets out of oil or out of gas from the wells that they're drilling around here. But yeah, I think that was another interesting thing about getting into industrial, because I think that whole market's going to explode.
So I really love this, because basically what you're saying is by analyzing this information and having a little bit of insider information about like the cracker plant, it might be a great time to get into Beaver County while prices are still low, if it's going to be growing and expanding, which is exactly why we do this, is to help everybody understand and analyze your submarkets in a way that nobody else can.
Yeah, super cool. Makes me want to go out and get CoStar today too.
yeah, I mean, $450 a month, it's really not a lot. I mean, it used to be in the thousands of dollars up until like less than a year ago, I believe. It was up to like $5,000 or something. It very depends on your situation. But, just starting out, it can definitely seem like a lot, but everybody's situation is different. But in commercial, it's one of those things that's just the cost of doing business. You will make your money tenfold back if you utilize it, and if you use half of what's available to you in CoStar, you'll make your money back tenfold. This isn't even 10% of what's available of what we're showing you guys.
Frankie should get a CoStar kickback. He's basically a sales rep.
I need to be CoStar.
Be an ambassador, CoStar ambassador.
Right. All right, Inland Empire. Let's see.
And while you're moving over to inland, we've got an interesting message here. Moody's is releasing a robust competitor to CoStar in 2024, and I'm like super excited about that. As a CCIM member, we do get discounts to Moody's. And I would say right now they are literally running neck and neck. Like I believe that CoStar has the most robust data lake of property information, commercial property information nationwide. But Moody's is coming in strong. I'm not sure if we'll be getting a discount through eXp Commercial or if there's any talks on that, but definitely a player. So super excited about that.
What's the name of the Moody's product?
I don't know yet. It's just that they're going to be releasing something that's supposed to be very competitive to CoStar. But Moody's Analytics would be, if you were going to Google it, just Google Moody's Analytics.
Yeah, I mean, they've been compiling data for years now. I know that I believe a local CSAM here is one of the top people with the listing platform and getting listings and gathering information. I think they're slowly but surely, becoming a competitor. I mean, between all of the other ancillary products you can make CoStar, between Reonomy, Crexi Pro, Moody's, maybe, and all those other things. But CoStar is kind of just I don't know. Depends on how you look at it. Like I said, you either love it or you hate it.
And Erica, I know that you already got a response about, Erica asked, can you do this with Reonomy? Yes and no. The truth of the matter is that Reonomy just doesn't have the information that CoStar and Moody's Analytics does, right? It's not going to be as robust. The great thing about Reonomy, and why we love Reonomy, and Frankie can speak to it a lot more than I can, it's just because that artificial intelligence that's overlaid. Jabin, do you use Reonomy? It's great for getting phone numbers and
Yeah.
contacting people,
Yeah,
right?
prospecting off market. You could basically use it as your off market CRM. We've done some trainings on it. It's really, really good for that, for lead gen. But it's not really as good for this type of data. Well, it's not the same platform at all.
Exactly. And actually I emphasize to our agents on our team to not use Reonomy for anything other than phone numbers and contact information, because it's actually been incorrect. There's been wrong like building information or stats or anything other than phone numbers and emails. We've ran into some incorrect information. So I'm very strict on, it's amazing for lead generation, but other than that, I would use anything else.
Think about it like instead of going and using the GIS, right? It's like the most optimized UI for prospecting off market properties. That's what
exactly. And just a friendly reminder, these are all just shortcuts in technology and, gathering all that's just public information, right? You can call any title company, depending on your market, if you use title and escrow companies, but you can call them and they'll provide you a list of all properties that sold from a subject address within a mile radius in the last 12 months or whatever criteria you give them. And then it's just more work because it's from the title company, but it's all available to you guys to analyze and look into as you see fit. But here's all the different cap rates within the Inland Empire, 4 to 5.2. Obviously, it's California, highest price cost of living, but it's obviously a lot of the higher end assets as well. That's why you get the lower cap rates with the what's it called? It's really based off the income, right? I mean, I don't know too much about California, but you get like a tech company on a 15-year lease in a brand new building. I mean, those are the types of things I imagine, but I do know in some areas it's definitely the opposite of that and run down and older industrial buildings. So I'm not too keen on exactly what these mean. If Charles is still out there, if he wants to jump in and give his 2 cents.
Yeah, those numbers that are provided by CoStar tend to under kind of report that trend. I think, when they say vacancies up 1%, it's probably more like 3% in some areas. I went to a CoStar kind of a state of the market thing. They were talking about 30% vacancies in office buildings, and it's probably more like 40 to 50. But it's a good, it's good information to show somebody, hey, look, this is the direction it's going. But you saw the absorption or the negative absorption rates going down. That's pretty accurate. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming up. And a lot of the buildings that were built are obviously newer, more efficient, 32 clear and above. But even with that, people, sure, they're moving into more efficient places from older to new. That doesn't change the vacancy. That just, someone going from one building to another. But yeah, like Pam, you guys said, they built a lot of stuff in LA and it's already hit. And there's some companies out there struggling. I still love the industrial market, but we're doing more leasing. Still hard to find a building for sale out here. In a owner user kind of look and format.
Exactly.
Even though the cost to leverage and borrow money is anywhere from 7 to 12%. Does it make sense to buy? And we're finding very few opportunities in that sense from an owner user. Hey, quick thing on Moody's. We are working with them on a national basis to figure things out. They bought a platform called Catalyst in early 2021. And they actually provide kind of an MLS or data point to many parts of the country. Los Angeles has AIR, which is the company that, or the organization that does also the contracts, right? AIR-CRE. Well, the AIR, American Industrial Real Estate Association, is actually a MLS, protected, guarantees, comp and everything if you're a member in Los Angeles. So if you're only doing industrial in LA, you can pretty much get away with not having CoStar. Outside of it, you've got to have it. But Moody's claim is they have more information and building information than CoStar. They already have it. They've been collecting it for years. Remember, they're the big what you call it. They report on the bond rating company, all that stuff. So they have it. They just have to kind of put it together and I guess kind of retail it to us. And I ask them, are you just going to do data, or are you going to actually have marketing information? And I think they're going to take on CoStar with market availability. So because they already do that in many local markets, so that's a good thing. Except
Yeah.
I don't want to be paying two $455 bills a month. That's the only thing. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, if one is a little better than the other, or one's a little better in multifamily than maybe in industrial, or I mean, it's like, oh man, I don't need that.
Yeah, they need to get on the same page.
Well, they don't want to be. Right?
I
mean,
know.
they're competitors, but I think they just bought some other company. But if you think of a company and market valuations, I mean, Moody's makes CoStar look like a little ant as far as size of company and what they could do. So if Moody wants to be the bulldog, they can.
Well, and I think that
Wait
all of this,
I'm ready.
I think all of this conversation is really good for those that are newer getting into commercial real estate. Just know and understand that we are the wild, wild west out here, right? It's not like, I think there's over 600 MLSs across the nation. And so when you're selling residential real estate, you go and get a membership at your local board, and everybody plays on the same playing field. You're all playing by the same rules. You're all using the same contracts and same documents. It's very different in commercial real estate. All of these platforms, like that, we were comparing Rihanna to CoStar. They're all great at different things. We don't have one beautiful platform that encompasses everything, right? And I don't think that we ever will. And Charles, you made the best comment, is that certain platforms work in certain markets better. Frankie's doing a ton of business outside of Nevada, thanks to eXp Commercial and license portability, and creating great relationships with DMVs in other states, right? And so we had to sublease a space that's not in our market or our state. And what we found was that, Crexi Pro is one of the platforms that we use. We get a discount through eXp Commercial. That platform is just disregarded. It's nothing in particular submarket. And we couldn't figure out why we're having a little bit of a hard time trying to get this property subleased when it's a hot property, because we were on the wrong platform, right? So if you're just getting into commercial real estate, just know there are certain platforms that are going to have more robust information in your market than others. And just do your research before you dive in. There's no one perfect commercial platform.
I agree.
Like you said, Pam, they're not MLSs in general. There are some. So there's no guarantee of comp. There's no sub-agency offers. So, other than asking if the property is available or anything out for signatures, third question you got to always ask is, what's the broker comp? Because you got to put it in your deal. There's no, what is the offered broker comp in CoStar? Well,
no,
it's not there.
Exactly. I tell them all the time too, like, you could be a 7% and it doesn't matter. You have to get it in writing, confirmed every single time. It's not like the MLS. So yeah, you're exactly right. Thanks, Charles. I appreciate your input as always. And yeah, like you said too, Pam, even across asset classes, right? I mean, RealNex is a decent listing platform here in Vegas for office and industrial, but you can't find any multifamily or retail on there. So similar across the board. Commercial cafe, office space, selfstorage.com, all the different listing sites is a whole other conversation too. Well, here we are in Dallas Fort Worth. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Just because I'm kind of like the timekeeper and the gatekeeper here, we've got 20 minutes left to be respectful of everybody's time. We do want to make sure that we get to deal sharing, and Jabin, I'll let you lead us on that. So once we wrap up this submarket, let's talk a little bit about deal sharing and how we can do that on this platform together.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll be quick on this one. This was interesting. You got 46 different submarkets within
Wow.
Fort Worth. So that's just a matter of knowing if there's any major differences between them. Like you spit across the street, you're in a wholly different submarket. Sometimes, the jurisdiction and the government entities can have different overlays, zoning, permits can all be a little different. So it just depends, and make sure you know all those differences would be the only thing I'd say for something like this, for so many different submarkets. But let's see if there's a huge disparity. Yeah, I mean, 15 all the way down to 8. I've never seen so many submarkets in one area.
Well, I mean, Dallas is just huge, right?
That's true.
I love when people are like, hey, I got an industrial deal in Dallas. Okay, cool. You're going to have to at least give me a zip code. Okay.
It's true.
Because I don't even know how many zip codes there are in Dallas.
For sure. What do we have here? South Central Tarrant County has the lowest cap. Meacham Fossil. And then Delta County, it's got the highest in Hood County. And then I like looking at the list one. You can just see everything side by side: asset value, vacancy, availability. Well, I don't want to take too much time. If anybody has any specific questions on these or want any reports, shoot me a message. Happy to provide it.
Frankie, will you show them a quick CoStar report? Like, if you have a client who's just wanting to understand a market, right? You could do some really robust. So like when Frankie's saying, let me know if you want a report, you could do a really high level report in just a couple of clicks. And we're not here to sell CoStar by any means whatsoever. Just saying, if you would like support, that's what we're here for. And we have access to these reports. So we're happy to help you out.
Yeah, and if it's just like a one-time thing or every once in a while, like it's obviously like not a problem, no charge. We'll just send it over. So here's what a submarket report would look like for Delta County and Dallas Fort Worth. Got your little logo on there, so you can send this right to a client. Submarket key stats: leasing, rent, construction, sales, past 12 months, supply and demand trends, rent vacancy and sale trends. Basically everything that you saw, and then even goes into more detail with a little, I don't know if it's AI now doing the descriptions or if a CoStar reporter is still doing it, but you can kind of even read the general summary, if you will. So that's the overview. I actually picked a bad one to do a report because they didn't have many comps to use. Here, let me use this one. We'll do Arlington. $3.5 billion dollar market. And you can do overall market reports as well. Submarkets, you can do capital market reports. And all sorts of comparative rental analysis, sale comps, obviously. But these are just your quick reports that you can run. And I will add, when you are listing a property, they do have like what I call quick comps. It just does basically a already preset criteria by CoStar with what they would think is a good comp. Again, it's not by any means what you can send to a client and list, but it's a fair starting point for like kind properties. So here's Arlington, 12-month deliveries, 12-month absorption, vacancy rate, rent, 12-month annual rent growth. Breaks it down: rental building area, logistics, specialized industrial, flex. Shows you the leasing rates. In the forecast, take it with a grain of salt. Who knows? No one has a crystal ball, but something. I think you can actually take that out if you didn't want to have the forecast shown. You could just have it up until the point of today. Availability rates. And then you can actually with these, you actually get links to these properties. So you can actually click on this one and it'll take you to the listing, and you can look deeper into it and look at pictures, look at more comps, look at more stats, look at the traffic, all the above, look at the peers in the area for lease. So all of this is within the report. Obviously, you can look at the loan, prior sales. This is what I mean by the nearby sales comparables. So it just gives you a 30-mile radius in between a certain square footage range, existing and under renovation, 5, 4, and 3-star, which is the CoStar rating. Doesn't mean anything other than what their interpretation of the building quality within the last 2 years, and excluding condos, portfolios, non-arm lengths. And let's go back to the report. Oh, did it take me off? Oh yeah, so I'm gonna go back. There we go. And then obviously all of these different 3-star buildings. Here's the construction portion. Gives you a pretty fair idea of what's going on in the market. And like Charles said, it is kind of underreported as far as, who knows when they're going to get the information, because a lot of it is artificial intelligence, but most of it's their research is calling, right? So somebody could call in a building and not get that comp information for another 12 months when it was done 6 months ago. So they can definitely get better at that, but just keep that in mind when you're looking at stuff. It's all human to human research, human errors, subject to human errors, subject to misinterpretation sometimes, but for the most part, it's a fair starting point. If you have nothing, it's better than nothing. And then here's all the goods right here, showing you the past up to the year to date, and then the forecast of the market square foot, vacancy per sub asset class. And yeah, that's what a sub-market report would look like.
Awesome. Thank you, Frankie.
Absolutely. Anything before we move on?
There's nothing in the chat.
Perfect. Handing off.
So Jabin, would you go ahead and unmute yourself? Because we want to hear, we really want to dive into being able to do some deal shares on this platform, right? So our purpose is to assist other agents, whether you're with eXp Realty or eXp Commercial, in this asset class.
Absolutely.
So deal sharing is going to be imperative. So take it away, Jabin.
For sure. So that's one component to the committee that we want to start expanding into, which is more collaboration. And as we grow, this tool is going to become a lot more valuable in our opinion. So what we did is we created a deal share submission form on a drive, and we're going to get this uploaded or re-uploaded to our workplace group for you guys to be able to click and actually submit deals. And I just want to take you through it so you understand what it is and how it's laid out. And if you have any suggestions on how we could change or add things or optimize it, or if you feel like there's information that needs to be added, et cetera, et cetera. But basically what you have is different set of fields. You have a quick summary on what we're trying to accomplish here. And then you're going to have a section to put your email in, right? And then your phone number, and then your name. And the reason we want to do this is we want to start collecting information. So when you're sharing these deals, we can reach out to you if we need context, because we're going to take these and we're actually going to present them, and you're going to talk about it on the committee as we start running these deal shares. And so then what we also want to do is for you to put your years in the industry. And this is just to kind of help us gauge where you're at as a broker, an investor, developer, et cetera, and also to be able to provide context whenever we're discussing these types of projects, as well as your market. So what market is this deal in? And then we actually break down the asset subtype, and we have flex space, self-storage, cold storage, manufacturing, warehouse, distribution, showroom, office space, research and development, R&D, RV, trucking, et cetera, other. And you can actually go down here and click and type in other. And if you guys think we need to add or subtract any types of sub asset classes, please let us know. And we also have for lease or for sale. Is it for sale? Is it for lease deal? And then again, we have an explanation for basically where you're at in the transaction. And this is just a brief summary of what stage. I mean, is this Is this a, hey, I talked to somebody, he said he's interested in selling, and these are kind of the general terms, or hey, this is a listing that I've had for 8 months and I'm trying to get it moved, and where are you at in the process, right? Because there's that can affect how we go about sharing it and discussing it and how much information you have access to. And then we actually have a little financial analysis section, and we provide some kind of bullet point items of what this may look like or what you may have access to. And if for those of that are newer, right, these are good things to know in general. Just if you're looking at building out a deal to share with somebody, these are some things that are going to be pretty important to know. And we have a little space here where you can add these files, right? So you'll be able to upload, P&Ls, T12s, lease turn cap rate, any type of documentation you have, as well as maybe a document summary that you can type out and attach folders to. And then we have just a deal summary, right? Which is, here's kind of the summary of this deal, provide a brief description of why you think it's attractive to an investor or user, et cetera. And then any other attachments on top of this financial analysis folder that you want to add, what OM, photos, videos, floor plan, marketing, anything, other additional statements. You can add all that here. And then what happens is once you send it and complete it, it's going to go to us. We're going to be able to see it, review it, and then we can then reach out to you to schedule a time to have you come on and share it. And we think it's going to be a great tool to just really encourage collaboration. And as we grow, this tool is going to be more and more useful. So we're looking forward to using it.
And the only thing I want to add to that is if you're unsure about some of the financial calculations, that's okay too, because send it anyway, and we'll actually schedule a time to actually work through that as an example. Okay, so,
Absolutely.
is this a leased property that's being sold on the income approach? Is this an owner user building? So please don't be intimidated by the form and not submit your deal share. In fact, if it's something that we can help you work through, we'd love to do that.
Yes. And that's another thing. Yeah, we can use this to help you analyze it. Share the deal with us, the committee, and we'll help you through it. Yeah, I like that, Pam. That's very important to know. Yeah. Almost top of the hour.
I love
We
it.
are. So we do have a suggestion by Blair. She said add land categories. And yes, how did we miss iOS?
You're right.
Industrial outdoor storage. So for those of you that don't know the acronym yet, we have so much alphabet soup in this industry. I mean, everything's an acronym. iOS is industrial outdoor storage. It's becoming a pretty big deal.
Those pickleball. I don't know how many indoor pickleball things I've gotten lately, the converted warehouse do. So maybe there'll be an acronym for that.
I think we're getting a chicken and pickle, or is it pickle chicken? What is it? I don't know, but it's nuts. Pickleball has taken the world by storm.
Yeah.
In fact, we even had have a lead on the team. We have a pickleball court lead, and then we also have like a volleyball court or something like that, don't we, Frankie?
Yep. It's like the volleyball is actually like it's like a country club, like a bunch of old guys who just want to put a little league together and just go for fun. And like, sure, we'll find you a warehouse to lease. It's hilarious. Just wanted to add, thank you guys all for being here and thank you for your time. And if anybody has any further questions or feedback or anything that you wanted to, give to us or provide, feel free to workplace chat us or email us as well. And we're happy to take a look at that and integrate it into the next session if it's worth it.
Yeah, and if you are not on our workplace group, I'm going to post it so that you could come find us and be able to access us easier. I just have to find it real quick and then I'm gonna post it. Let's see.
Yeah.
And what we're also going to start doing is we'll start sending you email reminders and things of that nature of anything that we have going on. That way we can keep you in the loop.
And I'm
So
also going to post the Jungie Group's YouTube. If all of you guys can go in there and do a follow, that'd be awesome. Or subscribe, I should say.
And that's where we host the playbacks of these. So every other Tuesday, just if you're this is your first time with us, just so you know, every other Tuesday, we do live interviews with somebody in the space who's just incredibly successful. And we have had some of the most killer people on this little live that I can't even explain to you. So Frankie, thank you for bringing that up, because I would say definitely, like last week we had Tyler Cobble. Jabin, you want to talk about that? You slayed
Sure.
Tyler.
Yeah. He's we don't have that one recorded, but so that was you missed that one if you missed it, right? Or do
But
we have
actually we do. We uploaded the
okay.
audio.
the audio, perfect.
Yes.
Well, that one was with a guy. He's out of Nashville. He really focuses in on that market particularly, but he's industrial. You know, he does redevelopment, adaptive reuse. You know, he's done some micro retail, and he's just like a really, really cool broker, kind of brokerage story. He started when he was young, got into brokerage, built his own brokerage, became a developer, syndicating deals. You know, in a very short period of time too. And, you know, we have people like that, just different walks of life, different niches. And that was a really great one. He's kind of he's becoming a voice in the space for sure. You know, I know we've had Chad Griffiths on as well.
I think our first one was the best one, right, Charles?
Yeah. Yes, Charles, the OG. Had Charles on.
The inaugural.
Fantastic. We've got some clips. We need to send you some little clips too. We made of you too.
Yeah, you killed it.
You did, but yeah, no, we really enjoy that. It's fun.
Yep. So we're just trying to bring you something different. Like every 2 weeks, you can find us here. Bring your questions, bring your deals, come listen to the people that we're bringing to you that, you know, just going to give you a different perspective.
Absolutely. Collaborate, get better, and do some deals.
I think we're good. We're 3 minutes early, but unless there's anything else in the chat, I think we killed it. Good job, Frankie. Good job, Jabin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Crushed it.
Any last minute questions? Now's your chance. And forever hold your peace.
All right. I think we're good. So
Okay.
I will close for everybody. And thank you all for being here. We obviously appreciate you. Don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great
Everyone.
day.
Have a great week.
Hey, guys.